What in the Matrix hell?
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of Maff's Movie Show. I am your host, as always Tired Boy. And today we're going to talk about Space Jam. I was trying to find a news topic that was relevant for this week, and nothing really sprouted to mind, but this weekend that just passed, I did watch Space Jam: A New Legacy, the sequel to 1996's Space Jam, which is, in a way, a cultural classic. It got panned by critics and slammed during when it released in the 90s, but kids that grew up with it, like myself, just kind of fell into the magic of it, and Michael Jordan just promoting those Concorde 11s and just the whole rambunctious nature of it all. And it's a stupid movie, it's a bad movie, but it had something to it. It had a charm, and it's fun for what it is. I rewatched it, and it still has something to it. It's got that 90s flair. It's a time capsule of a time that a lot of us grew up in, and if you grew up with it, you probably have some kind of attachment to it. So now we have a new legacy. People who watched this when they were kids are now grown adults with possibly or without children of their own to go see this movie with them now. And again, history repeats itself. Critics are slamming this movie. They're hating it. But it's got a decent cinema score, apparently. Audiences are enjoying it a lot, and it made a pretty good killing at the box office, as projected recently, a 30-something million. So even with the HBO Max, if you have HBO Max, you can watch it for free on that, which that's how I watched it. I didn't see it in theaters. But it is interesting to see that history is repeating itself, and seemingly I would only imagine that kids that are watching this movie in theaters are going to grow up with this, enjoying it for what it is, and maybe even having think pieces about it in the late 2020s or the early 2030s about how Space Jam: New Legacy is actually good, or it's better than you remember. I can already picture it in my head the way that we talk about the first Space Jam now. And I just thought it was an interesting topic because it's one of those movies where, especially this one, the first one has product placement all over the place. It's so obvious between the Warner Brothers and the NBA and Michael Jordan being the Nike man that he was and still is. It's crazy how prominent he still is in the sneaker game and in just culture and clothing and fashion and so forth. But it's so obvious that the movie was made because they saw something there from a commercial with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan. That's how that spawned. And now we have a long time in the making, another movie, and you could have argued, you could have had rest in peace Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, and a couple other names that I could probably name on the top of my head, but LeBron James was and still is, the face of basketball right now. So that's the guy you're going to get. And quick review of the movie for me, I thought it was fine. I think the product placement is a lot more in your face and obnoxious in this movie, and it seems like they did it on purpose, but it's one of those things where in a movie sometimes they'll acknowledge how meta and how bad something is. If you're at a new restaurant that you're not used to and you get a burger and that burger comes out the worst, it's just you wanted it medium rare, but you got it really well done and everything, all the ingredients are off, and you say to yourself or to the group, your company around you, haha, this burger sucks. It doesn't make it any better. It still sucks. So Space Jam: New Legacy isn't a good movie, but I do think there are redeeming qualities in there. The animation is pretty much the entire bulk of the middle act of this movie. It's smooth animation, beautifully 2D animated, and then even LeBron is not a good actor, but he has comedic timing. If you've seen Trainwreck, directed by Judd Apatow, when he has comedic moments, I think it works. There are a few moments, though, where he's asked to really deliver upon an emotional beat with his son, which the story is that his son wants to be a video game designer. LeBron wants him to be an NBA player. They're at fault and at odds with that, and they have a lot of conflict and a lot of resolutions there, emotionally speaking. And I don't think he delivers on that front with his sort of one-note delivery. It doesn't work in this. Where I think I'm getting at is just, does it all matter? Does it matter that adults who grew up with Space Jam 1, who saw Space Jam 2, saying that just because it's a kid's movie doesn't mean that you can just get away with making something as obnoxious and in your face with intellectual property placement as this movie, where it's just throwing in the Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Mad Max, Casablanca, all these Austin Powers, all these random movie references that kids who are 5 or 6 are not gonna understand. So who is this movie for? Is it for people my age and older, or is it for kids? Usually when you make a family movie, you want to try to keep both audiences and both demographics in mind. You want to entertain the adults, but also have the kids entertained. And I think this movie does a decent job, serviceable job at doing that, but it's just the references, the specific references and scenes they create for this movie just don't seem like stuff that kids are going to... Even The Matrix, they use something with The Matrix in this movie, and it's a joke that's been played out for 1,000 years when The Matrix first came out, but kids who were born 6-7 years ago are going to see that and have probably never seen The Matrix and be like, when they see that joke, they're going to be like, are they going to be entertained by that? I don't know. The other way I'm looking at this is kids who are growing up with this movie, are they going to have it in their subconscious now that in a few years they're going to ask their parents or their dad or their mom to be like, hey, can I watch The Matrix? Can I watch Mad Max? Can I watch Casablanca? Because I saw Space Jam 3-4 years ago, and I kind of want to see what those movies are like. Is this a movie, a gateway drug to these incredible classics? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. There is a place in my mind. There's a place for movies like Space Jam: New Legacy where they are objectively bad. Even though movies, there's nothing objective about movies. It's art. The people could feel however they feel about any kind of movie. I hate the Transformers films from Michael Bay. But if somebody came up to me and told me that they love Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, I'm gonna think it's crazy, but I'm not gonna act like the king of the castle and be like, well, you're wrong. Because nobody technically is wrong. Ever. That's why there's always discussions about movies. But again, my whole thing is that, does it really matter? Is this movie a good thing or a bad thing for the industry, or is it just indifferent? Is it just another movie that's making a decent amount of money that'll push an agenda for possibly a Space Jam 3 or more movies like this? Is this something that's going to turn kids into mush with their brains? Is it going to help? I don't know. Technically, you could say the first Space Jam was doing a similar thing with audiences back then, like me. A little kid who saw this movie and just was like, ooh, cool, Looney Tunes. I could care less about Michael Jordan back then. I was just happy to watch Looney Tunes going around, even though that was kind of the first avenue for me to getting into the game of basketball. It still was just a fun movie for Looney Tunes. And there's a lot of fun Looney Tunes stuff in this new movie that kids are going to like. So what does it matter if they don't get, another way you could look at it, what does it matter if they don't get the jokes? Because they're just happy to be watching this Looney Tunes-centric film. There's so many ways you can go, you know? And maybe because I scroll through Twitter every day, I'm very active on the social media site, it's prevalent in my mind seeing people put so much energy into talking about this movie in a negative light. And it's just, I could, at least at this point in my life, I can't put so much energy, negative energy especially, into something like this. It's a movie. It is what it is, but does it matter? Does it matter that Space Jam: New Legacy is doing what it's doing? It's blatant. It's full of itself. They got such weird actors in this, like Sarah Silverman and Steven Yeun. A scene in the movie where LeBron takes a meeting with Warner Brothers execs and says a sequel to Space Jam, an NBA player, an athlete doing a movie like this is a terrible idea. And then they do it anyway. So, like, does it really matter? I don't know. But I want to put it out there, and I think it's interesting to talk about, and I actually want to hear from you guys if you would like to talk about it. First of all, what do you think of Space Jam: New Legacy, and how do you feel it impacts our world in terms of art and movies and stuff like that? Is it bad? Is it good? Does it matter? I thought the movie was fine. I think it has good animation, some really funny jokes, and then mostly really bad jokes. But the final game is an hour long. It's stretched out terribly. There's no good pacing to it. And I don't really feel the stakes away. I think they did a better job with the first one of really creating momentum, especially with the second half of the game where Bill Murray shows up and all that. But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments down below, what you thought of Space Jam 2 and Space Jam things in general. Again, I'm your boy, MaffmanJones. You can find me on all social media platforms. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe if you haven't already and ring that bell so you're always notified of new videos. You can check me out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz. Links are down below. and I'll see you guys next time. Also, if you want to suggest new comments for new topics for every week's show down below, I'm trying to get a new episode out every Monday. So if you have ideas, let me know down below. Jackass trailer comes out Tuesday. We'll see how that turns out. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I love y'all. I'll see you next time. We're going to take this into overtime. Welcome to the Space Jam. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Love you. Peace.